there is more than one way to use food in training. I'm going to show you 5 different ways in which you can make your training with food more interesting and more applicable to the exact things that you are actually trying to teach the dog. So we're going to start with the simplest that everyone knows. This is taking a food reward and just feeding it from hand. The best way to do it is to feed the dog exactly in the position you want them to be in. So if you were trying to teach the dog a heel position, you might want to lure the dog into a heel position, and when they get there, yep, you can use a marker and then feed them. And if they stay in that position, you can feed them again. If not, you can use your lure again. Yep, and feed them from hand, nice and calm, nice and gentle. This is a very calm way of delivering a food reward. Another way to use food in training would be to make food alive, a little bit like prey, a little bit like a toy. You can't actually play with food. So a lot of dogs out there might not be very motivated. Yep, he's sitting very nicely, so here's his little reward. A lot of dogs out there might not be motivated to play with toys, but if they are interested in food, and most dogs are, you can use food like a toy. So you have a little tidbit, and you can just toss it on the ground for a dog to chase. So for example, you can have a recall game. Let's say we're going to teach Oscar how to come back when cold. What I can do is I can throw the food reward away from me, so he goes away so that I can recall him. Then I will call him, Oscar, come! And as a reward, I'm going to toss this piece of food so he gets to chase it. Most dogs enjoy chasing. Good boy. Okay? Oscar, come! And you can see just how excited he is getting about this. What's special about this type of food delivery is that you do build a little bit more speed, you build a little bit more action. And of course, when you're teaching recall, speed and fast response and excitement is definitely desirable. Another way to use food in training as a reward is to again throw it in the air for the dog to catch, but this time instead of tossing it to roll on the ground, we're just going to throw it in the air for a dog to catch. Oscar here is pretty good at catching, and dogs really love this. For some reason, it's almost like catching flies or like catching some little mini prey, and it seems to be a fantastic little bit of fun. So the food itself becomes more valuable just because it's also an activity, not just the whole ingestion of food. Now, not all dogs are good at catching. That's fine. Keep practicing. Another great way to use food as a reward, and this could be a special extra reward, is again to tap into our dog's nature. This time not so much as a predator who catches the prey, but more as a scavenger. This time I might use a small handful of treats, and if I like something that the dog did, I instead of feeding it from hand or throwing it in the air, I might just calmly put it on the ground next to me, so the dog gets to scavenge the few pieces of food from the ground. This again is something dogs tend to enjoy, but this is a calm food delivery. It can also be a useful way of getting your dog's attention and their nose to the ground in situations where there might be something they might struggle a little bit with. And the 5th way to use food as a reward in training is going to be slightly more advanced, and we will need ideally to either have a helper, or if you don't have a helper like me right now, other than Oscar, you may want to put your dog on a lead. What we're going to do is we're going to place food at the distance from where we are working, but Oscar will know that the food is there. Oscar is with me on a lead. I'm going to take his collar, and once I've taken his collar, I'm going to let the lead out and wait for some eye contact from him. Yep. Okay. And then he gets to reward himself by going and taking the food from the ground. In this particular instance, I was just asking, or I was expecting that he would offer me a little bit of eye contact. Eye contact obviously is something we like and want when we have a dog who might be easily distracted or who isn't listening to us on our walks. So again, I've got Oscar's collar. I throw the food on the ground. I feed out the lead. Yep. And then when I got a little bit of eye contact, he gets to reward himself.